Welcome back, True Seeker. Big buzzing news. Crystal Mangum, the person who accused the Duke lacrosse players of rapinging her back in 2006, yesterday on a podcast, admitted that she lied. And she said she lied because she wasn't right with God at the time. And what I want to go back and do is look at the whole story, how it unfolded. And Roy Cooper, who was so central to the story, he was the attorney general at the time. Now he's the governor of the state. And her admission that she lied, I think, is only a small, tiny revelation about the truth of the matter. And it looks like Roy Cooper was very central to this story the entire time. And we're going to look at why that is so and why this admission really came on the day it did. Again, if you're new here, what I show is how pretty much every single day the news media is a lie. Like all of these stories, Crystal Mangum and the rest of them, what's in the national news every day is pretty much, without exception, a lie. It's contrived propaganda. It's constantly baiting the same narratives. Racial division's a major theme in the national media, constantly, always trying to divide us amongst race. And consider this story was big in the time that Obama was running for office and becoming the first black president. We're going to get to that. And again, Duke's known as the white boy school that can compete in basketball. This story was all about race. Down in the Carolinas where slavery was rampant. But yeah, again, there's no doubt that this is another perfect ritual. And again, if you're new here, what I show is who is doing this. Again, who is contriving the news each day? Who's the puppet master that controls the scripts that get read out as the news? And it's very obvious. Once you learn the way these people operate, it's undeniable. And for example, Crystal Mangum, which is kind of an interesting surname, isn't it? Mangum. It kind of reminds you of the song "She's a Man Eater." You know, she's just chewing men up. She tried to chew up these Duke players because she wasn't right with God. Anyhow, the accusation was that on March 13th, 2006, these three players raped'd her. And again, it's stupid that we have to spell out these words and not say them. I mean, that's just another thing that's just so dumb about the times. These big tech things, like we can't talk about the news without getting censored. What a joke. What a joke of a time we live in. The whole time is just so fake. Fake news, this level of censorship. You got to be fake. You got to. Anyway. Look at this, you guys. From the 18th anniversary of the accusation to the admission that she lied, 274 days later. And again, this number is only special to one gang of people, and that is the same Jesuit order that gave us the language and the calendar, and that founders warned about how they could subvert the nation if they came out of suppression. This is back in 1770s. Again, the Jesuits, when they came to America, they set up shop in Washington, D.C. before it was made the capital. You saw in recent times how the whole nation got down on its knees for the first ever Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. We'll go back to that. But the Jesuit motto is Jesus hominum salvator, Jesus, savior of man. And that's her story too, that, you know, she got right with Jesus, and that's why she's admitting that she lied. But 274 days after the anniversary, the 18th anniversary of the accusation, this. And of course, if you're not familiar with the Jesuit Order's logo, it's the sun with the letters IHS for Jesus hominum salvator. We're going to come back to her murder conviction too, because their logo, we're going to connect that too in the end. She's in prison for murdering a boyfriend after this story. And it makes me wonder about that story too, because the day of the murder is supposedly the day that science figured out back in 2012 was the day Jesus was crucified in history, April 3rd. We'll come back to that. But again, IHS 18 stands for Isus Hominum Salvator. Again, if you're new here, this practice coding numbers into words. There are 4 base ciphers of the English language. You got to know all 4 to see through the rituals. The alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order. So you're just turning letters into numbers based on the alphabetic order. With the alphabetic order, A's 1, B's 2, C's 3, D's 4. With the reverse alphabetic order, Z would become 1, counting all the way backwards to A, the 26th letter. And then the 2 orders with numerology applied. Those are the 4 base ciphers. For example, Isus Hominum Salvator equates to 274 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. And remember, the Catholic Church, who the Jesuits serve, this is their logo. Their motto is IHS, Isus Hominum Salvator. But the Catholic Church who they serve, they've celebrated the sun's birthday in the sky on 12/25, what we call Christmas, since 274 AD. Again, this is about cycles of the sun. So 18 years later, 274 days after the anniversary, IHS, the acronym, when you run the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology applied, IHS is 18. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, sun is 18. And understand, if you look into the history of the Jesuits, they came about in the 16th century in response to the Protestant Reformation, the same Reformation that ended up bringing about this country, where a lot of the founders were against the Catholic Church because it was the tyranny of Europe when this country was being founded. And the Jesuits were their military branch, their infiltrator branch. They're keeping the power of the church branch. Again, Martin Luther led the Protestant Reformation, not to be confused with Martin Luther King Jr. There's a parallel there, too, because Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses, and Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 95th day of the year and had a patsy blamed for his execution. Again, the same people who give you this propaganda every day are the same ones who are really behind MLK's death. And don't forget, in the time of the trial of the century, O.J. Simpson, who had the Jesuit lawyer Johnny Cochran, who delivered the line, "If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit." And he did that on the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, which was the day leaving 95 days left in the year. But in the same time that trial was going on, there was the trial that didn't get any attention, the one by the Martin Luther King Jr. family, where the judge alluded to the fact that it looked like MLK was executed by the federal government, which no doubt is controlled by this Jesuit cabal. That's why the capital was moved to their stronghold. But anyhow, you just got to say, like, really, 274 days after the 18th anniversary, and you think this is some kind of coincidence? So with that said, let's take it from the top. Let's take it from the top and go over all the details here. Bring in the current governor, who was the attorney general at the time, who dropped the charges by the numbers. It looks like the entire story from then to now was manufactured. And I still have some questions, like, how does Crystal Mangum get chosen as the character to play the part? Why are the specific 3 players from Duke who become the accused? There's answers to these questions, but that level of understanding is only going to be found with a lot more research and more people pushing who are closer to the case, who would know things about these families and say what secret societies they could be connected to, because a lot of people in this nation are connected to secret societies, and they've been here since the beginning, and they're a major component of this. Again, the Jesuits are the creators of modern-day Freemasonry, and we're going to see just how Masonic this thing is as well. So, yesterday, the day of the admission, was a date with 68 numerology. And keep in mind, right now, you got these 2 big buzzing stories about Diddy and Jay-Z being accused of RAPE, one extra letter from rap, right? These rap moguls, now they got an E added to the end of the word. And remember who told you it was coming before it happened? I told you the day Clarence Avant died that it looked like Jay-Z and Diddy were going down in a Jesuit ritual at age 54. Diddy did go down at 54. The rumors started while Jay-Z was 54. Days after his 55th birthday, he went down. We covered why 55 for Jay-Z. But anyhow, this is coming right after Jay-Z becomes part of the story. And again, all the people who are getting shamed in these stories have a darker complected skin. It's a reminder that Abraham Lincoln blamed the American Civil War on the Jesuits and said they were the greatest purveyors of slavery in America. But anyhow, 68 date numerology that she makes this admission that it didn't happen. Notice RAPE has the gematria of 68. She was described as an exotic dancer, 68. The woman that she made this admission to, she has the talk show Let's Talk with Kat, but her name is Katerina De Pasquale, which equates to 68. So how perfect for this date for this to happen. And 68 is a special number. If you're new here, 1968 was the year of years. I've talked about it a million times. I'm going to leave it alone for now, but 68 is a big time number. It's a number connected to the CIA as well, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is appears to be the agency that's responsible is to keep people under the mind control and agendas, the powers that shouldn't be need them to be under, which is constantly being divided with each other and fighting over nonsense such as race and religion and sexuality and political party, et cetera, et cetera. Because united we stand, divided we fall. And pretty much the media is here to keep us divided and in fear every day. Now, notice the number 68 is the 48th composite number. The podcast that she was on where she made this admission was Let's Talk with Kat, which equates to 48. And that's Katerina De Pasquale's show. But again, it was December 12, 2024. One of the paths for date numerology is 12 plus 12 plus 20 plus 24, which is 68. The abbreviated path is just 12 plus 12 plus 24, which is 48. So what a perfect day for this podcast with this host. Again, it makes me wonder who Katerina De Pasquale is. She got daddies at the CIA. But going back, looking at this story, again, the accusation was March 13, 2006. We're going to hit that in a big way. The day that Roy Cooper, who's now the governor of the state, dropped all charges was April 11th, 2007. That was the 101st day of the year. The accuser, her full name is Crystal Gail Mangum, which equates to 101. Again, on the 101st day of the year, all charges dropped. As we'll get to, 101 is the 26th prime number. 26 is kind of like the year 2006, the year that this happened. The name Crystal alone equals 26. The word lie equates to 26. The word God equates to 26. And one of my oldest videos back when I did everything on a whiteboard was how the people of this world, the powers that shouldn't be, the way they control humanity is by lying to us and playing God with the power they have through media and the fact that they can get their messages to us in an instant through these screens that are everywhere. And for most of us now in our pockets through our smartphones. Again, one of my oldest videos, how God and lie have the gematria of 26, going with the 26-letter alphabet. Again, in Hebrew, the 4-letter name of God, the tetragrammaton equates to 26. If you haven't read my first book from 2017, it talks about why there's a 26-letter alphabet, why this number is so powerful. Another story people are so focused on right now, the Mangione story, the 26-year-old assassin. Assassin's another word that equates to 101. The 26 prime, if you missed my video from recent days about that story pointing to the Ides of March, which equals 101. The stories being 101 days apart. The December 4th assassination, 101 days before the Ides of March. Again, the Ides of March, remember the assassination of Caesar. Check that out. But again, it's a 101-26 thing. I make this same point in the opening chapter of my first book from 2017, Letters and Numbers, again, about 101 and 26. Interestingly enough, words like skeleton equate to 101. Bones equate to 26. And with regards to us, we have 206 bones in our body. 206, a lot like 26. And remember, Masonic temple in Gematria equates to 206. The body is the temple is the phrase. 26, God equals 26, so does Adam. Man makes God in the 26th verse of the Bible. The word Christian is 101. There's 260 chapters in the New Testament. The Christian section, 101, 260. The word church is also 101, et cetera, et cetera. The point is this number is very important. And again, her story yesterday was that she was not right with God, which made her lie. And I still remember the twerp, one of many twerps who just started making videos about me and spreading false rumors. I still remember how he did the freeze frame video where I had the whiteboard up with the word God written out and lie written out and how they both equal 26. I still remember how he did a freeze frame video. He didn't show what I was saying, but he's like, look at this man. This man says God is a lie. It's like, okay, the video wasn't about that at all. It was about how these people use lies to play God. But that was one of the many people back in like 2013, 2014, putting out these videos, just trying to slander my name, just making up complete BS. And here we are in 2024, still dealing with the same thing from these trolls that come out of the woodwork. The smallest channel ever that has more trolls than anybody. And that's because the reason we're kept small is because we're shadow banned and destroyed by the same people. And they clearly employ these trolls too to slander my name and my work. But anyway. I just say, what I was teaching about over a decade ago, how obvious is it in this story? All right. So notice that Roy Cooper, he became the Attorney General January 6th, 2001. All right. And from him becoming Attorney General to him dropping charges was 75 months later. And now he is the 75th governor of the state. And 75 is not an arbitrary number. Again, I'd encourage everybody to look up the headline from the New York Times, October 6th, 1940. You'll see the headline that day was New World Order Pledged to Jews. Interesting because 10/6/1940 was a date with 75 numerology. New World Order equals 75. Order out of chaos equals 75. Order alone equates to 75. Catholic Church equates to 75. Roman Catholic equals 75. 75, special number. We said nearly a decade in advance, just wait until Israel's 75 years old. Expect a major war to begin with Israel while it's 75. Exactly what happened. And you guys can watch my video that's still up on GematriaEffectNews 22 from the day Netanyahu came back. We were emphasizing the 75 thing and to look for the war to start in Israel shortly after. And of course it did on the anniversary of the U.S. invading Afghanistan. And that was because of 9/11, which happened in the 11th state, New York, on the 11th, 11 years to the day of Papa Bush delivering a speech about a new world order, a world freer of terror. And he was the 11th director of the CIA. And of course, his son was the president at the time. But yeah, there's a reason for these numbers and the repetitive patterns all throughout history. Now, as for the date of the accusation, March 13th, that's the 72nd day of the year. And again, it's also the day that eventually would become the day of the first Jesuit Pope. Pope Francis became the first Jesuit Pope March 13th, 2013. But notice, Cooper equals 72, like Jesuit order. That day can be written 13/3. Duke lacrosse was the focus of the story. Duke lacrosse 133. And with regards to this admission coming now, Roy Cooper, who is governor, he's 67 years old. Notice how Duke equals 67, like North Carolina. And his birthday is June 13th. We'll get to that. The day leaving 201 days left in the year. Calling card of the Jesuits. When the accusation was made of the RAPE, March 13th, 2006, that was Roy Cooper's 271st week of being the Attorney General. 271 is the 58th prime number. Roy Cooper equals 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like Solomon's Temple, like Secret Society. The first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, he became a Jesuit in 1958. His name, Pope Francis, equates to 58. He does the hidden hand pose, which is Masonic. Exotic dancer also has the gematria value of 58. And notice, from Roy Cooper's last birthday to the date of the accusation was exactly 39 weeks. Blue Devils equals 39. That's what Duke's nickname is, the Blue Devils. And you know what else is interesting is think about what day this happened. December 12th. What was the big story December 12th? Again, December 12th was 39 days before the upcoming inauguration, and it was the day that Biden pardoned 39 people who were in prison. a record amount, 39 days before the inauguration. And the county commissioner of Cuyahoga County, um, guy with the gangster name, whose name's escaping my mind right now, as we covered yesterday, his name equated to 39. He was the biggest name on the list of the people who got pardoned. But huge 39 ritual. And again, you guys, the power of this knowledge. When you see numbers recurring in the news, they usually show up in the sports game. Nashville, for example, equals 39. They were a huge payout last night to upset Dallas in hockey, and they became 3-9 away, upsetting Dallas. And, again, the power of this knowledge. Rigged sports games, all credit, again, all of the American sports credited the same cabal of secret society types, Masons and Jesuits and Skull and Bones members. There's a reason that your news and your sports is scripted the same way every single day. But yeah, this story was on the exact same day as the Biden pardon. And again, that's the federal city. Masonry, secrecy, and federal all equate to 39. And one more time, Masonry is based in the Old Testament, and Protestant Bibles have 39 books in the Old Testament. So it really fits with the 3933. Or excuse me, I did say the 3933. Let me just pull up this story real quick from yesterday. DeMora. It was Mr. DeMora. Jimmy DeMora, who was the top, and you see how his name is 3339, like federal masonry, secrecy. And again, when he was sent to prison, supposedly, it was based on 33 counts that he was found guilty of. And again, he represents Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, CC. C's the third letter. CC is 33, county commissioner, another CC. Again, just same numbers all over the place. And I think I forgot to mention her initials, this woman. We said Duke lacrosse equals 133, like the date of the accusation. You can also write that date 3/13. C is the third letter. M is the 13th letter. 313 are her initials. CM is 313. The story is from 313, and it's all made up. It's all made up by the numbers. You mean like what we've been showing about the news every single day, where none of these stories really make sense if you look into them? Again, all for agenda, all for mind control, all for distraction, all for division. Secret societies based in Cabala, like Freemasonry, using Kabbalistic knowledge to contrive propaganda for mind control, when there is a dark half of Cabala known as the Clip-Off, which is about sorcery and spell casting through the knowledge. And in English, we refer to the word spell in regards to magic and creating words. All right. This 273 days from his birthday to the story, if you said it was a span, if you did the span, it would become 274 day span instead of 273 days later. So that 274 would show up there as well, for the record. And notice she was 27 years old at the time of the accusation, right? 27 years old, born on the 18th, admits 18 years later it was a lie. Notice the gematria of race in the base ciphers: 27, 18, 27. And then the other number, 81, is obviously the reflection of 18. The word ritual equates to 81 and 27 as well. You'll see these numbers a lot in major league rituals in the media. President Biden equals 81, supposedly got 81 million votes, a record. He's from Scranton off I-81. We said that he'd pass the torch to Kamala when he was 81, as he did. And then Kamala raised a record 81 million in 24 hours, supposedly. And if you look just before Biden announced he was running, Obama endorsed 81 candidates on August 1st. But anyway, this whole story was about race. And I suppose the whole Biden thing's been about race too, because he went to the Oval Office with the only 2 black people to be there. And he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. But anyway, race. She was 27 when the accusation was made. 18 years later, she says it's a lie. And the date that she admitted it was a lie, December 12th, 2024. We talked about how it had 68 date numerology. That was one of the paths. Realize 68 is 6 plus 8 is 14. 14 is 1 plus 4 is 5. There's different paths in date numerology, but they'll always break down to the same root digit, which yesterday was 5. 12, 12, 2024. If you just add it all digit by digit, 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4, that's 14. Duke also 14. Krista Gale Mangum with the alphabetic order, 196, the number that has the square root of 14, who makes the accusation versus the Duke players. From the day of the accusation to the day that the charges were dropped, notice that was 56 weeks later. Her name also in the base ciphers is 263, which is the 56th prime. And realize that that the charges were dropped just shortly after Obama had announced that he was running for the 56th U.S. presidential election. Let me write up Black Lives Matter real quick because I want to make a point about the murder that she's in prison for. I'm going to write out Black Lives Matter. Look at this. The murder that she's in prison for happened 259 days after her birthday and 106 days before her upcoming birthday. And then again, when the charges were dropped, it was 56 weeks after the accusation. And we've seen so many Black Lives Matters rituals with these three numbers and the 173 at times as well. You know, you think about things like 106 in Park, but again, Obama went on to win the 56th election. And don't forget, Obama announced that he was running February 10th, 2007. That was the 31st anniversary of Black History Month being recognized by the federal government. Again, Black History Month was recognized February 10th, 1976. Obama announced he was running February 10th, 2007, 31 years to the day. Obama's 31. 31's the 11th prime. Black equals 11. You see how Obama's 14 and 31? Look at slave, 14 and 31. This black woman admits on a 14 date numerology all these years later that she lied. You know, more media shaming for black people. And by the way, slavery is 102, like February 10th can be written 10/2. Again, the N-word has that encoding. The word slave alone is 76, like Negro, like Rasta, like blues. Again, Black History Month recognized by the feds in 76. You see how all those words were 59 and 76? Notice Barack Obama is 76, and notice his Secret Service name, Renegade, is 59. And remember, his book, A Promised Land, equals 59 and 76, just like Slave, Negro, Rasta, Blues. He released that book on the day leaving 44 days left in the year, going with him being number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. And when he released it, it was 106 days after his birthday, like Black is 106, like Black Lives Matter is 106. And so is prophecy. And A Promised Land plays on the prophecy of Abraham, and Abraham's 44. And again, Obama, number 44, elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, while this thing was going on with Crystal Mangum. And again, Acts, the 44th book of the Bible, Acts 7:6, the verses about 400 years of slavery, and Obama paid big tribute to that in his movie Leave the World Behind. 76 is all over the place. A movie about racial tension as well, and the destruction of this nation. Notice how that's a big plot theme, right? The nation's falling apart, and the more immediate thing going on in the household is the racial tension. You think these things are arbitrary, or you think they're trying to tell you how we're going to end up being destroyed? And then another theme is just like other nations of the world and confusion and not knowing who's behind it, but hating this group and that country. And again, united we stand, divided we fall. The media constantly dividing everybody. But yeah, Crystal Gale Mangum, charges dropped. Here, I'll tell you one other thing about April 11th, actually. African American. Oh, I'm tripping, actually. What was I thinking? Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Revelation 1:14 is what I'm thinking of. That's where the only description of Jesus is in the Bible, and it describes a man with hair like wool and darker skin. So the 1:14 thing, the 11/4, You can write that day 11/4, kind of like 114. Okay. Anyway, moving on. From Roy Cooper's birthday, which is June 13th, again, the day leaving 21 days left in the year, to the day that charges were dropped was 43 weeks and a day later. Again, Freemasons, the plural's 43 and 56. Duke lacrosse is 43 and 191, and 191 is the 43rd prime, and 43 is the 14th prime, like Duke's 14. And again, she admitted she lied on 14 date numerology, and that number is connected to slavery. She makes her admission that she lied while she's 46. Crystal is 46. She makes her admission in 2024. Mangum is 24. She's in prison for killing a man on the 93rd day of the year. Mangum 93. And it's interesting because, again, science says that April 3rd is the day Jesus was crucified. And look at this. Jesus Christ is 43, right? Jesus alone is 34. You can write April 3rd, 4-3 or 3-4. And again, cross is 34 and church is 34. But that's also the 93rd day of the year. Crucifix is 93. God's Son is 93. Nazareth is 93, when it's spelled correctly. The 930th chapter of the Bible is where the New Testament begins in Protestant Bibles. And again, in Sumerian gematria, which is where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, Christianity is also 930. 930th chapter of Protestant Bibles, Christian section. She got 14 to 18 years in prison for second-degree murder. Her birthday, July 18th, also interesting because you can write that date 18/7. Remember, Abrahamic equals 187. There's 187 chapters in the Torah, which is largely where the numbers come from for the study of Cabala. Again, Cabala is traditionally studied in the Hebrew Old Testament, or the Torah, first 5 books within the Hebrew language. But you can see that the Catholic Church, once they got their hands on this knowledge after the Crusades, they clearly designed the language in the English Bibles as we know them and the calendar and synced up this system. But Abrahamic's 187, Society of Jesus is 187, Holy Roman Empire is 187. Again, this nation's capital, the Jesuit stronghold, Washington, D.C. is 187. George Washington is 187. Again, he was favorable to the Catholic Church, where a lot of other founders were not. Think about how he goes down as the first recognized president in history, and that was in 1789 that he became president, the same year that Georgetown, the first Jesuit university, was established. Ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And they put the ampersand on it, and the way they spell it is 187 as well. Again, the rites of the Scottish Rite were written by Jesuit priests. But the point is, special number. The alias of Skull and Bones is Brotherhood of Death. They're modeled after the Templars, the Templar cross and the Jesuit logo. Brotherhood of Death's also 187. 187 is a homicide code. This woman's accused of killing a man with an 18/7 birthday. The anniversary of the San Ysidro massacre, 187 days from Ray Kroc dying, et cetera, et cetera. And I almost overlooked something. Sol Invictus has this 46 in it. That matters because she makes this admission right before Christmas. Again, Sol Invictus began in the year 274 AD, Isus Hominum Salvator. Again, the admission 274 days after the anniversary of the accusation. And again, remember, Catholics 46. And the Catholic Church began celebrating the Son's birthday on 1225 in the year 274 AD. The Pope in 320 AD proposed that they begin celebrating Jesus' birthday on 1225. And notice, Isus Hominum Salvator, when you run an interverse, is also 266. We're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, who's the 266th Pope in the history of the Church. And when he spoke in Washington, D.C., he did so on the 266th day of the year, September 23rd, 2015. And for the record, Catholic, also 71 like Sol Invictus, 35, 1225 Christmas. So, made the day it is by the Catholic Church. 1225 has a square root of 35. Of course, JFK, the first Catholic president, killed on I-35 as number 35 at age 46. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament versus 39 in the Protestant. 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. That's why Israel was created on 14/5. Because again, these are the people who are behind the New World Order. They're the ones responsible for that New York Times headline that we talked about earlier about New World Order pledged to Jews. Who else would have pledged it? New York Times has always been run by Jesuits. But yeah, anyhow, Mangum has that 93 as well. And just so interesting that she's accused of killing a man on April 3rd. And, 2011, too, that was the year before science said that was a Jesus crucifixion date. But just, Jesus has the 11th thing. And yeah, from her birthday to the rape, RAPE, accusation was 34 weeks. Murder, and then she ends up being accused of murder, right? Years later, she's back in the headlines for murdering somebody. They're like, oh, see, this woman's really crazy, making up stories, murdering people. Just feeding all the stereotypes, right? Isn't that all the stereotypes that we've seen over the decades from the media? Black people are dangerous. They're killers. They're sexually aggressive. They're predators. They're dishonest. I mean, all these stories just feed these stereotypes. But yeah, that was 34 weeks. Blacks 34. Durham, where Duke is, Durham, North Carolina, 34. I didn't look at what day she was convicted in 2013. I want to look that up real quick. On the anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. Look, it's November 22nd, you guys. That's the day leaving 39 days left in the year. Just like how 39 was central in the stories we covered. Blue Devils 39. Are you kidding me? Yeah, and don't forget, JFK was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Mason. Okay. That was the day that Obama's movie went out in theaters, Leave the World Behind. On November 22nd, 2013, she was convicted of second-degree murder by a jury of 7 men and 5 women. Judge Paul Ridgway sentenced her to serve a minimum of 14 years, Duke 14, maximum of 17 years. Here, real quick. April 3rd, 2011 to November 22nd, 2013. 137 weeks and days later. 31 months. We talked about that was Slave and Obama. This is going on in the time of Obama. 137 is the 33rd prime. Again, Masonry's got the 33 as well, like Kennedy. 11 plus 22, 33. For the record, just about the murder on the anniversary of Jesus being crucified. I'm missing an I. Triclavianism. There it is. The Jesuit logo, those 3 nails, are to remember how Jesus was crucified. Triclavianism's 93, just like crucifix as well. 201 as well, like the Jesuit order. Also like capital punishment. That was the Roman form of capital punishment. All right. Her quote yesterday was, "I made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God." For the record, from her birthday to her admission yesterday was 147 days on a lesser date numerology of 48. Freemason 147 and 48. Conspiracies 147. From Roy Cooper's birthday to her admission was exactly 26 weeks. Again, Crystal 26, like the story from 2006. Her admission was on the day leaving 19 days left in the year. Lie has the gematria of 26 and 19. Crystal lied. Again, remember the charges were dropped on the 101st day of the year. Her full name is 101, which is the 26 prime. We talked about this earlier in the stream. She said she wasn't right with gone 26. And again, from the anniversary of the accusation to the admittance that she lied 274 days later, Isus Omnium Salvator, the Jesuit motto, the acronym for Isus Omnium Salvator, IHS, is 18 forwards and backwards like sun. We're coming up here. The name Crystal also equates to 91, which is the 13th triangular number. Her admission was 13 days before Christmas, right? The son's birthday. We talked about this with the three unwise men accusing Diddy, the latest BS in the Jesuit scandal yesterday. But yeah, Roy Cooper's birthday, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. The story from the 72nd day of the year. And Duke, once upon a time, was originally established in Trinity. Again, it's the Catholic Church that promotes the Trinity, North Carolina. And isn't it interesting how Trinity NC's 132, like Roman Catholic, like Catholic Church? Roy Cooper went to school in Chapel Hill. But yeah, what an absolute ritual. And again, for the people who don't understand why they do this, it's Cabala. Again, in Cabala, it stated God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. These people are putting together numerical scripts in news that get syndicated all over the place and impact the minds of people all over the place. Again, if you look into Cabala, you'll see there's a dark half, the clip-off, about sorcery and spellcasting. And for the record, that the verse that talks about the tree of life, which is the physical model for Cabala, and knowing good and evil, again, there's the evil half of the tree of life. It's the 78th verse of Genesis. It's Genesis 3:2:2. Just like how the physical model for Cabala, the tree of life has 3 pillars and 22 paths. But Genesis equals 78. This woman's born in 78. You know, the whole Jim Jones thing was on the 322nd day of the year in 78. Genesis has the 33 and 39, you know, special numbers to Masonry, which are based in Cabala. Again, 39 books in the Protestant Old Testament. And for the record, Genesis means seed. Seed is 33. It also means in the beginning, which is 137, the 33rd prime number. And again, lying. You know, it's kind of the big theme of Genesis. The serpent lies to Eve, who manipulates Adam, and then God punishes them by kicking them out of the garden. And then forever, ever after, life is full of unnecessary problems. It all started with a big lie. All right. Shout out to the super chatters. Real talk. 274 AD is BS, all backdated via Jesuit priests. That could be. That very well could be. How much of history has just been contrived by a code to fit a pattern? I mean, that's possible. But do you have information about what the real year was that they began celebrating the son's birthday on 12/25, the Catholic Church? Yeah, all things should be questioned. Mike Rawson says, member for 19 months. Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Got to be a record with that one. Shout out to Frank, the Truth Tank, always putting in the great work. I wish everybody felt like that, Frank. And thank you again for your generosity, friend. Much love back to you. You know, I think about how much time I spent doing all this and now doing this for over 11 years and how underappreciated it is. I was watching a guy cover the he had like 10,000 people in his live stream yesterday on the latest Diddy accusation, and just absolutely nothing. Just absolutely nothing to that stream. Just reading the stories, and it's like, how's this happen? How's a guy like this, who hasn't even been around that long, have 10,000 people watching him, and he's got nothing really to add other than sound effects and useless speculation. It's crazy, man. Just people don't even do any research. They just get on and just regurgitate. It drives you nuts, man. Thank you again, Rick James, for the big generosity, gifting 5 more memberships. I appreciate that. You've been spreading them everywhere. Thank you again. Mike Rawson said, thank you, Zach, for all your hard work. Appreciate that. Thank you for being a member for 19 months as well. Rest in Gematria. Thanks for taking the time to educate us, even though you are a busy father now. Yeah, again, I mean, nothing's changed. Well, other than being a father and getting a lot less sleep, but the original motivation was to make the world better so that I could have children and feel better about the world they're coming into. And sadly, in the time I've been doing this, it's only gotten a lot worse. And now there's actually a little one here. So I suppose even more motivation to make things better, but definitely a little more tired these days. We're persevering though. But thank you, RIG. And Gematria says Nancy Pelosi hospitalized on her. Is that right? Uh-oh, Nancy. Nancy's the same age her father died at. We all know what age that is, 84. Remember, her father has the same birthday as Francis Scott Key. The Francis Scott Key Bridge came down by the numbers on Nancy's 84th birthday. Of course, that family's from Baltimore. But Nancy's birthday is 26/3 for people who don't know. That was the day the bridge came down. Kennedy arrested 45 days before the birthday, huh? While RFK Jr. is teamed up with number 45 after filing his paperwork on 4/5, and then the July 13th hoax 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary. Nancy. Uh-oh. It'd be something if Nancy and Joe went down. Luxembourg, huh? March 26th birthday. Let's run it real quick. March 26, 2024. 262 days later, or her 263rd day of her age. Yeah. And remember, that's the 56 prime. Nancy Pelosi equals 56. Nancy Pelosi also equals 133 and 52 like government. You talk about born for it. I gotta check this out real quick. I'll do a separate post on this later. But former House, is today the anniversary of the Federal Reserve? Am I tripping, or is it? No, it's in 10 days. I am tripping. It's in 10 days. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi hospitalized after injury in Luxembourg. She's receiving excellent treatment. They were slated to travel to Belgium and Luxembourg to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge. Let's see the numbers on Luxembourg real quick. Luxembourg, interesting. I see some serious Donald Trump numbers there. Do you guys see it too? 138.48. Donald Trump was just over in France. Luxembourg's right next door. Real quick from the Donald's birthday. It's 38 days before Inauguration Day, too. Death number, capital city on the 38th parallel. "26 weeks on the nose from Trump's birthday." Well, I'll have to think more about the Nancy thing. The 263rd day of her age is obvious. That is obvious. Go back and do my research on the Battle of the Bulge, since that's where they were on their way to when this happened. The last major German offensive campaign on the Western Front. And we're right. Yeah, okay. We're right before the anniversary. That's why they're going there. Yeah, they said 80th anniversary. Just out of curiosity. Battle of the Bulls got that 271, the 58th prime. Trump won the 58th election. Yeah, I'll look more into that one later, but I do got to take care of a few other things right now. Um, Thank you for the heads up on both stories. And King Richard TV got in here as well. He said Nancy Pelosi also hospitalized 710 days after her term ended on January 3rd, 2023. She's still in office, though. Hold on. Was that as I'm trying to think when she would have lost Speaker of the House. You must be measuring from when she lost Speaker of the House. That's got to be what you're talking about. And by the way, again, just about her being the 52nd Speaker of the House. I mean, look at her name again. 52 like government. Again, you learn this code, you see how it's nothing but high ritual. I can't even think. He's got such a generic name. 56th Speaker of the House. What's his name? Mike. What's his name? Mike Johnson. I mean, look at it, you guys. Mike Johnson, 56th Speaker of the House. It's the same numbers, right? Mike Johnson, 56. He's just like Nancy Pelosi. Look at his name. I mean, this is what a joke it is, you guys. His name is literally identical to Nancy Pelosi in every cipher. Jokes upon jokes. All right. Yeah, good catch there, King Richard. Shout out to Sarah Sutherland. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate your constant support. Glad you stay enthusiastic. And shout out to Carl, always with the generosity as well. Both books bought today, Amazon. Cheers. I wonder if you bought the green ones. Here, if you guys don't know this, I'll show you this real quick. Again, I mentioned this a few times now. There are books for sale on Amazon under my name. I gave these letters and numbers. It is my first book, and she's putting out in volumes. Just so you know, if you buy these green books, I don't get anything from these books. They go to a woman named Anne. You might remember Anne. She might have been on camera a few times. She was with us at the Yale campus. She was out pounding payment in New York. I gave her permission to just re-release my books in volumes because the book's 800 pages long, so it's a huge book to have a bind on. So she's putting it out in shorter installments. So if you order these green books on Amazon, yes, they are. She hasn't put out every volume of the book yet. I think she's got the first 3 volumes out. Is what she got, and I think she's got plans for at least 2 or 3 more volumes to get it all in there. But yeah, Anne receives all the proceeds from that, and that's fine. That's the way we arranged it. My book, Number Games, is this one. When you buy this one, I do get the proceeds from that, but I don't get much. Most of it goes to Book Baby. There's my podcast that I couldn't get any episodes to post on, so that's why I got frustrated with the whole podcasting. I was like, why? I think I have to change the name. I think the problem is the name of the show. I think that's why it was blocking it. But yeah, if you do buy the green ones, Letters and Numbers, that is my original book. The first volume of that has the first chapter, why there's 26 letters in the alphabet plus more. But yeah, she's made them reasonably priced. And again, you want to support a woman out there who's trying to share the knowledge. And part of the reason I gave her permission to do it is because, no one's buying the book anyhow anyway. So if somebody else wants to try and put it in a package and get the knowledge out there, I mean, that's what I wrote it for in the first place, was to get the knowledge out there, and it helps them out. I'm all for it. So, yeah. Again, thank you to Anne for repackaging the book, and I hope it has sold some copies and put some pennies in her pocket. Um, and thank you for supporting it, Carl. I appreciate it. I imagine that's what you were talking about. I don't know what you're talking about physical book. Wait, Number Games is physical book. The green ones are physical books. Yeah, they're all physical books. So, alrighty, Truth Seeker. Yeah, you want to find those books? You can just search my name on there, Zachary K. Hubbard. Zachary, Zachary. Hubbard, Hubbard, middle initial K. Let me see. When was the last time we got a review? Have we gotten any reviews recently? Some people put some totally false reviews on here. I like how they got down to a 407. Yeah, there's some really dumb reviews on here. They're not true. There's like one review that says, he doesn't even know that Biden's not the 47th president. It's like, nowhere in the book did it say that Biden was the 47th president. There's a part about him being the 47th vice president, and Obama, who took office at age 47. Bobby Beavers was the most recent review. Funny date, October 7th, 2024. Appreciate it. He says, Zach is the man. It's a nightmare knowing people will likely never wake up. Who knew this little book here would be possibly the most important thing a person could ever read? They literally control everything, including the hurricane. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, the Hurricane Milton's not in the book because the book came out in 2020. But hey, this book, you guys, it did come out in the middle of 2020, and it told you right in the book why they'd wind down their scandemic as soon as the year of the tiger came around. Exactly what they did. Again, that's the power of this knowledge. I get tired of people coming here and always saying, like, what's the point of this knowledge if you can't predict things with it? It's like, okay, we've been predicting things better than anybody who's ever walked this earth, which is no cap. That's a true statement. And why does everyone come here and leave that statement? Is it like a troll campaign? I don't see anybody else going to anybody else's investigative journalism and going, what's the point of this investigative journalism if you can't predict anything? It's like, okay, why are you saying that to the person who's predicted more than anybody you've ever known? And yeah, it's got to be a troll campaign, but that comment's left all the time. Clean the wax out of your ears. Listen to what we're saying. Look at the resume and the track record. Ask yourself why Google's deleted so many channels. Ask yourself why I got so many trolls trying to slander my name. And things should become quite evident about what's really going on. Again, we're here every day exposing the puppet show for what it is. All right, True Seeker, we'll leave it there. Thanks again to everyone who supports the work. Thank you for the generosity on the super chats this morning. And until next time.